Hello, Recon87, and welcome back to Combat Mission Battle for Normandy. We're going to be diving into a new scenario, and it's the 13th mission in the Scottish Corridor campaign. It's been about 2 weeks since we recorded the tail end of the last scenario, so I am jonesing to get my Combat Mission World War II fix. And boy oh boy, does this look like it's going to be a good scenario. So, let me set the scene. It is the 29th of June. We are in the accursed town of Granville yet again. So it's the day after our last scenario. We failed to take that chateau. There's a exerted German counterattack going on from the 9th Panzer SS Division, or operating in our vicinity. They've already overrun the 7th Highlanders at Levalta, and they're currently moving in our position. However, we don't know about their movements. And interesting, the brief states that that's because the observers we had at the chateau were overrun. But given that we failed to take it in our last mission, it's a nice little bit of fun role play for our version of the campaign. The fact that we're not aware of our movements because we failed to take the chateau and therefore don't have some forward observers there. Either way, we don't have exact details on what the Germans are up to, but we know they're coming for Granville, so we must defend and hold at all costs. Now, we are getting towards the tail end of the campaign, and in fact, if we fail to win this scenario, then the campaign ends and we lose, so, no pressure there. In terms of the forces at our disposal, we have got C and D Company from 9th Cameronians, fully resupplied, fully refitted, so we've got 3 platoons in each, or 3 platoons from each, I should say. 3 sections each platoon, associated Bren and 2-inch mortar detachments with those, all fully manned, all fully equipped, all good to go. In addition, we have 3 17-pounder anti-tank guns, 2 6-pounder anti-tank guns, 6 Bren carriers with some scouting elements, and 3 Vickers heavy machine guns. In addition, as you can see arrayed on the screen for us, we also have a number of Churchill tanks. In fact, we have 15 Churchill tanks on map. So that's the 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th troops, as well as the HQ troop. So that is quite the array of forces at our disposal. So I can only imagine what the Germans are coming with. In terms of the opposition, obviously we know it's the 9th SS Panzer Division. We know or been informed they're going to come with a lot of Panzer IVs. I'm sure they'll have some other armoured elements sprinkled in amongst that. We also know they have a significant amount of artillery available, and we know that they're going to come a hard and determined attack. We do have some of our own supporting elements, although they have been predominantly used in the defence, on the failed defence at Levalta, so we don't get them until later on. So we get a couple of 3-inch mortar battalions assets at the 10-minute mark, and then at the 25-minute mark we get some 25-pounders, some 183mm howitzers, and a Typhoon as well to play around with those. Okay, so that's the forces. Let's have a quick look at the map. So obviously we've played on most of this before, I think. This is a set of Granville, so we initially attacked kind of using this portion of the map. We've had a defence here as well. I don't know if we played in the area over here or not, but yeah, so fairly familiar. In terms of the areas objectives we have to hold, so we've just 2. We've got Lady Muck, which is the kind of centre of a town. Well, it's not much of a town. It's a collection of buildings around a church. And then we've got Lower Muck, which is the crossroads on the edge of town. So it might take me a little bit to kind of go through my defensive positions, but I'll try and both do it justice but not spend all the time on it. Let's give us a zoom out, see if we can see most of the map proper. It's fairly flat. There's some undulations and things which break line of sight, but no significant kind of topography of note. There's some kind of hedgerows and things which break line of sight, which is going to render most of this kind of backwater invisible to us, and we're not really going to get eyes on that as the mission progresses. As you see, I've not used the entirety of my development zone. In fact, I've kind of, I suppose, set up a bit of this sort of chevron, right-leaning chevron type defensive line. I mean, I could have pushed right up to the edge, but there's no value in this open ground, so I've just left it. The idea that I'm kind of playing with is I've created a hard point at the very kind of front end here, which is going to be quite key to holding that. which should allow us that whenever they push in towards kind of Lady Muck from this direction, then we could get some flanking fire. If we try and push this way across the map, again we've got some flanking fire from these objectives. And similarly, we're going to take some positions along the back here. So if we do try to push in from this side of the map, again we've got a couple of different angles of attack, so it's never just a purely frontal assault. That is the theory. So to support that, as I said, we have this hard point I've created in this wooded structure, which has got quite a number of troops in it. So we've got we can have all of 16th platoon is in here, supported by a 6-pounder AT gun, which is just making sure we don't get any. You've moved. I'm glad I checked that. You're supposed to be here. They are helping to defend this road. We've got a few areas in that, and we've also supported by one of the Churchills. So this is 75 variant again, just to prevent really infantry assets from kind of pouring through this gap, because there's not. I mean, they could bring some tanks and things in via the hedgerow fences, but it's more infantry we want to hold out there. Interestingly, I am scooting our unit across into the bottom floor of this building because there's no way in and no windows. Oh, there's a way in. There's no windows on this back side. Potentially that means we're going to have troops appearing at our back. So this may not be the clever plan I thought it was. But it was nice because it could give us kind of a... essentially they're having to run past us in another angle to kind of shoot them in the back. Also using foxholes in here quite liberally. And most of the guys are starting with a kind of hide command. And again, we just all we look to is create a hard point that they can't push us off, that we can hold, and then that then allows us the kind of freedom of movement to put some flanking fire into any kind of Germans pushing on the objective. It will depend kind of who, what, and where, and how hard they come for us. Kind of key places I've tried to cover the likes of, so this opening road. So we've got a 6-pounder covering this initial section. We've got a 17-pounder sitting all the way back here, covering this long area of the road as well. We've then got a few Churchills parked back here, kind of trying to cover this road. I'm not sure how well they'll get on necessarily if there's a frontal duel with a large number of panzers, so I've tried to avoid kind of frontal positions as much as I can, but and to put some resistance in the way. Yeah, and instead of kind of trying to pick up these kind of angular positions where we've got, you know, a bit of line of sight onto the road, if they come along here. In fact, I probably want to scoot you over a little bit. Indeed I shall. I'll give you a better line of sight through onto this road area. Good. Yeah. That's a kind of main thrust of this setup. We've got a kind of a reserve essentially of 17th platoon, just kind of hanging out back here. And then we have 18th platoon is spread amongst Lady Muck, the objective itself. Now my thoughts with this is, we know they have a lot of artillery. You can see the pock marks all over the ground. I suspect this place is going to get hit pretty hard, so I've put people, spread them out as much as I can, put them in buildings. I've got a couple of people out in foxholes where it's unavoidable, and there are very few people just hiding behind a hedge, which is not great, but needs must. And really it's just going to be kind of weather a storm and see what survives. I do have a reasonable number of tanks in here, which we'll see how artillery goes. May or may not be a good idea. Where possible, I'm trying to use positions such that their flank is defended by buildings, like here, and then they've got line of sight. Just to a few bits and pieces, you know, if we see some Germans push up, they can kind of take a pot shot. Not amazing coverage, but just using these kind of protected positions where we can. I've got a guy here who's got a little bit of a keyhole. Again, this is a very front-long position, so not as big a fan, but trying to offer some resistance without letting them just kind of completely roll up upon me. And again, over here, protected by the church, where we've got quite a nice little kind of, quite a keyhole, but an angled view onto the position of the field over there. So we're going to have to really see where the Germans come from, and then kind of change our angles to suit. We do have a little bit of defence in depth. Kind of got a couple of Churchills back here. We've also got a Vickers machine gun back here, again predominantly facing down this road. And we've got another 6-pounder on this flank. again, just to offer a little bit of defence, if you want a better word, I guess armoured assets kind of rolling through this open field, which I suspect where a lot of them will come from. And then as we move on to our right flank, so we've got the 15 platoon are in reserve, just kind of high right in the middle. And then we have the 14th platoon are kind of just on the very edge of this objective. And we finally have the 13th platoon on the right hand side and then down the edge of this hedgerow, just to protect our right flank. Again, expecting a reasonable amount of artillery to land in these positions, so try to spread the guys out. Use of foxholes here is actually, it's only temporary, because we know, and we've seen it before, when you have guys in fox rows, they can struggle to see past the hedge when they're not up against it. But the plan here is to have most of them tucked away and hidden. I've got rifle guys split off who are not in foxholes to act as a bit of eyes, and then once we see the Germans appear after their artillery barrages, hopefully, we can move the guys out of foxholes along the hedgerows and then kind of apply fire that direction. In terms of my AT assets over here, I've got the 17 pounder set up here with a view of protecting predominantly this road. So it looks like a fairly obvious avenue of advance, so we've hopefully got them in position to do something about it. And then we've got a couple of 6 pounders covering some kind of tighter angles. So this guy, you can see there's a road coming on here as well as just the open fields. Similarly, we've got another one set up here, predominantly kind of covering the road. And there's a little bit of sight lines up there. Just trying to cover the angles. I mean, I'm sure that just given the sheer number of forces that I've got, they're going to have a large volume, and I'm not going to be able to stop them with one asset, whichever direction they come from. That's talking about kind of witching away their capabilities. Anything else worth talking about? Yeah, the final 17 pounder we've got right flank. It's actually where it was deployed by the battle generator, which is okay. It's kind of covering this road direction out here, and I'm quite happy to do that. Also kind of covering this flank, we've got some kind of Bren carrier, and we're going to move one of the Churchills right along the back here, again just to kind of prevent any encroachment in this area. With the Bren carriers, so what I have done is for most of the scouting forces, I've taken them out of the carrier because they've got a Sten gun, Bren gun and a rifle between them, so we make reasonable little mini teams, although this guy's role is purely in a scouting rather than a fighting role. What I've then done is I've grabbed the drivers from the likes of the either the 2IC Jeep driver or the 6 pounder Bren carrier drivers, and then dropped them into the Bren carriers as gunners to get me used to them. So I've managed to kind of create about 3 or 4 Bren gun carriers using that while letting the main scouts roam. Not everywhere, as you can see, these guys have kept in, but by and large that's what I've tried to do. And you can see from the array of unused carriers, so most of these are the kind of non-Bren ones. These are for the anti-tank teams, but I don't really plan to drive them around the map, so I'm quite happy to pull them back here. I have emptied the vast majority of ammo out of these, so all my kind of Bren guns I've got 600 rounds plus, which are the 9mm Sten guns. I've got a reasonable supply, and also dished out all the high explosives I can get for the mortars and the like. Because I don't plan to be moving too much, I'm not too worried about over encumbering the troops. Obviously you don't want to give them too much ammo if they're running around. And actually, to be honest, there's a whole heap of ammo still on this map in a variety of carriers, and this ammo truck here, which we haven't got around to yet. Just so we're awash with bullets. I just need to find good homes for them. Okay, I'm going on nearly 15 minutes. The only last thing I want to say, actually, in terms of strategy, and I talked about these carriers. So I have got a number, which are currently sitting up here. I think there's 3 of them. And the idea being, it's if I can assure myself that I've cleared off most of the hard targets, so the likes of armour and any kind of field guns, etc. From this position, then these guys can hopefully get a little bit of freedom of movement to put some flanking fire into any troops coming directly at Lady Monk. Where I think, the Germans are going to trouble me from, probably kind of coming through this woodland. If they've got any sense, you can put a lot of infantry movements through here, and I'm not really going to be able to do much about it until they get right up along to this hedgerow. Likewise, they can probably cross through this land and down to somewhere around this corner before I really get to inflict some pain upon them. But there's still a reasonable amount of open ground, so I'm not too worried about that. And I think that'll do us. Oh, one last thing. The one thing I am pretty unhappy about is my observers, my FO. So I've got one back here who's not in a fantastic position. He's kind of got a little bit of sight onto the back area, but I'm probably going to have to move him to get line of sight from where I want to drop the artillery spore. And I've got the other one. He's actually not too bad. He's sitting up the front here. Currently just hiding out on the ground level. And I will move up to the second level when we get closer to the 10-minute mark. He should have a reasonable, actually have the same eyes as this guy. Should have a, I'd say he should have a reasonable line of sight, perhaps not. Yeah, he can get kind of onto the edge of this area. So it's not fantastic. And bonus handle ground, there's nowhere which really gives you a commanding view of most of the battlefield. Again, it's all pretty flat, kind of sight lines being broken up by kind of trees and hedgerows. So yes, that's my one bugbear, if you'll put it that way. Okay, and I think we'll call it there, because otherwise I won't get anywhere in this video. So tell you what I'll do, I'll put a very short cut in so I can double check, triple check everything, and then we can hit the go button. Okay, so ordinarily when I kick these things off, I kind of say, well, I'll kick it off, and when I get some spots I'll bring you back in, but I have a funny feeling things are going to get pretty violent and pretty noisy right from the off. We'll have to see how true that is. Where the game turns me into an absolute liar. Oh, some armour. Okay, so coming in off map here. That's fine, I have no problems with that. Short burst of machine gun fire from someone. Oh! I don't know if that's good for YouTube, but it's a nice round about to smash into my positions in Normandy itself. Oh. Or not. Actually, that's slightly concerning. If they hit that wood, it's not going to be a good time for my troops. That wasn't too bad at all, to be honest. I suspect it may just be a warm-up. More artillery over there, which I'm perfectly happy with. Okay. That's fine. I'll tell you what, I need to turn off the objectives. There we go. I don't need to see those. Alright, I'm just going to roll straight into the next one. I really want to see where these tanks pop up. And whether we can pick off a couple of them. Seems to be this kind of area they're hitting, which is I'm okay with, to be honest. It's just kind of on the edge of where my forces are. And I've got no one in there apart from those scouts. I mean, feel bad, Brian Gunner just took a casualty, but them's the way that. Whoa, okay. What have we got? Is it probably a Panzer IV that they warned us about? And who can see him? You can. All the way back there. Interesting. Really? I mean, how? Genuinely. How? You have to take the trees off. Good sir, I do not understand. You took a shot. You did. Interesting. May not go the way we want it. Pretty much like that. That's frustrating. Wow. Good action there. That's one dead tank in minute 2. Still not entirely convinced as to how they can see each other, but there you go. That's disappointing. more in defence. I kind of hope we'd get the first rounds on target for a lot of these tank drills. Which again shows my reluctance in terms of trying to stand them up toe to toe. First sights of infantry coming out. Not a problem. I think we'll just roll into another minute before we start thinking about making any changes or anything like that. But as a significant tank force we've seen over here. Be interested to see if they just do park themselves up behind or if they do push down this road. I mean, they could completely prove me wrong and come cross country through this field. They're just battering that position, which I'm happy with. As far as I'm concerned, that's a good use of their artillery. To be honest, I was expecting more to fall on the actual Normandy itself. I suppose there's plenty of time for that. Some more indications of troops moving through this forested section, but as we suspect, that's a good avenue, route of avenue for infantry movement. Now, first shot's on the road, and that's been spotted by, okay, not the best. Not the best first spot. Well, you guys must have noticed those tanks as well. Yeah, it would be nice to have some MGs bearing down on them, but we could maybe get you to unhide next turn. It's probably a sensible thing to do. The like greater threat appears in front of you. And then meanwhile you guys can take a few pot shots. Right. Please unhide. Yeah, fences and things will get in the way, as is their wont. So, I'm gonna have to be okay. We also have some other people obviously in amongst this wood that could help. I mean, you're just riflemen. Let's push up that way. It's like wherever you guys get shot in the back, but a risk I'm willing to take. And we're just going to sit and wait. Uncomfortable start if it is most defensive missions. I'm still chagrined about loss of that Churchill. That's a reasonable amount of infantry coming down the road, perhaps. And across the field, that's okay. We've got a Churchill in here which should provide some support. There she goes. And some first character. Let's I mean, granted they've taken out a tank for the price of a few pixel tripping, but that's a nice position. I'm slightly worried though that they're going to obviously readjust the Panzer IV and just come and pop this guy open. Good enfilading fire there to try and cross the field. That's 3 deaths and 3 spots, so that's a good return. Okay, Shelley's starting to, looks like it might have been diverted. Now, let's kind of hit that. That's a big gun that's just hit you. You're okay with it. I suspect that's from something parked up against this hedgerow. And you may not be able to long for this world if you don't leave this one, so I might have to pull you back a little bit. Casualties there. Okay. Let us do just that. That's a brain gun as well. Okay, I turn off these trees for a moment because I can't see what I'm doing. What? What? Where are you going and why are you doing it? Stop that. I'm gonna have you... I was gonna say have you go back. That may be easier said than done. Okay. Most of this terrain is actually impassable. I'm gonna get to face this way and probably not much else. May have to just sell you at the highest cost, which it's not. It's not a line you want to be taking. Everywhere else it seems fine. No, just the one casualty there. No other real casualties being reported. No other real spots though. Again, expecting a lot more to have hit over here than has done so far. We could potentially get you to do some area fire targeting. No, not really. Okay, scratch that. Alright, let's continue. I fear for this Churchill. Just see what comes of it. Another hit. Ooh. That's a bad one. Actually, pretty lucky, just some walking wounded. Any more spots? No, still just fairly far away. This seems to be the brunt of their forces at the moment. We seem to be weathering it well. Again, the artillery seems to focus around here, which is it's okay. And, well, okay, we've lost our forward observer there. It's been wiped out by artillery. If that's the worst of it, then so be it. Make sure it was artillery that took these guys out and not some advancing Germans. Them's the brakes, okay. 3 casualties from entire barrage though is not something I'll turn my nose up at. So we continue to push this way. Again, I'm kind of okay. I'm upset that I lost this tank. So that was going to give some additional support, you know, once I get infantry up against that hedgerow. I could potentially relocate someone like you, who I'm... Yeah, I don't really want to sit face on given what happened here, but then also, I don't want to park another tank in that spot if they're apparently going to have eyes on it. What I could do though is bring them up to probably somewhere like here. So we got eyes on this part of the field, but we don't have that magical sightline to that Panzer. Okay, we shall do this. And I won't have him facing down the road because I think that's going to be a bad idea. I'd kind of hoped the opening salvos would be us getting some lovely eyes on some German tanks and opening them like a tin can. That has yet to be the way of things. I also expected things to be a lot more violent early on. Not necessarily a bad thing, time is on my side. I'm hello. Or what was that? It's another round aimed at you, my friend. You have shrugged off 2 of them thus far, and you're still happy about life. Oh, hello. Right, lots of spots to the tail end. Get an headquarters unit set up on the other side of the hedge. We've got some guys doing some buddy aid. I mean, fair play. I don't think that's going to end well for you. Can Churchill see? He can. So hopefully we'll machine gun him down. And okay, some more guys in the backfield. I was more interested by what we had over here. We got that. Oh, you guys did that. Oh, and you are engaging. These guys are in a very precarious situation given how forward they are. Any luck? No, not luck. Okay. I'm expecting some, you know, probably some armour to start punching holes in here rather than just a mass infantry assault. We shall see. You have driven forward. Oh, you perhaps. Yeah. Are not on the side of the hedgerow I thought you were on. Could have ended pretty badly for you, so instead you need to walk this way, please. Just into that position. And that should suffice without exposing yourself too badly. But I'm slightly worried about this traversal. Knowing my luck, that's exactly when the Panzer IVs will pop out. And do me some mischief. Right, I just want to check on... Churchill here is getting a position on this flank. That seems to be fine. Okay. Let's go for at least 1 more minute. I'll try and maybe squeeze out 2. I want a little bit more excitement to kick things off. I feel like I've built it up enough. Having said no, this is me sitting complained I've not been like absolutely hammered by German artillery. And the violence of their action was not enough. Unfortunately, this is what happens to good men in war. Got my Churchill gun. I'll take that back to sea. A bit like a Panzer strike being lost at you. Over there. I can find it. I can see it. Where's it gone? 341 mark. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, okay. An infantry assault from somewhere back here. That's, I mean, that's fair enough. I can't fault them for having to go. Thankfully, no great harm to attack. He says getting hit again, but seems to be able to shrug these off relatively well. Oh, right, so they have repositioned their armour. Who got eyes on that? I'm actually surprised they're getting so many hits without spotting where they are. Maybe I shouldn't be too flippant, please. Right. Interesting, spot by this AT gun of all things. Gonna lose him quite quickly, but we should have some of these angles covered when he reappears somewhere else. feel like my Churchill's living a bit of a charmed life. Doing the job at the moment. Oh god, they're really going for it. Right, two things I want to cover. First off, are you the ones merrily lobbing things at me? Yeah, there you go, Panzerschreck man. At least we found them. You have a third go? I do like these trees, but they make life hard to see sometimes. Yeah, did. Again, he's missed. He's been unlucky. He has been unlucky. I would probably be annoyed if I was in his position. I had 3 shots and it's not come my way. And I believe that is the end of a troublesome Panzerschreck man. Although where there's one, there's going to be more, but that's okay. Meanwhile, tanks marauding across the open, taking a position of fire support. Oh, I actually have line of sight from here, which I wasn't expecting to have with him. I guess his just the elevate position gives him that edge. Side on, I'll take that. It is, which kind of Churchill is this? It's a 75 rather than a 57, so not as good on the AP. Go on. That's not good. What was that? It's all kicking off. Go on, get one of them. Ah! The time! Okay. We took some casualties there. Well, I want to see what that explosion was from. Looks like it's another Panzerschreck had to go with this Churchill. And all it's done is taken out some of our supporting infantry. I wonder if there's a way I can get some more eyes on infantry in here. And I'm not... Well, actually, you guys still all hiding. Let's maybe unhide some of you. It might be sensible to spot and return some fire. That's what we'll do. This has been a relatively long video. So, unhide you guys. We'll unhide you guys. Time has come to return fire where and when we can. We're just taking beatings in the woods at the minute. That's not an unexpected position they've taken there. No other spots elsewhere yet. So we've got a couple of options. One, Keyhole Man's not seen anything that he's been intrigued by at this angle. No, they're not running far enough. We may not have that many anti-tank assets we can get onto that line. Oh, actually, there was a couple over here we'd set up. I know he was mainly covering the road, but he should be able to see. He gets blocked by the hedgerow. Although sometimes you'll be able to see a turret sticking up. And in fact, I mean, I can see that. I've also got one on the angle. Again, this was at 57, hasn't spotted anything yet. So we've got a few options which can start to take pot shots back here. This is a worrying sign. And he may be about to succeed where the Panzerschreck has failed. We took our shot, we missed. That's going to be a pretty bad result for us. Okay. And with that, we are going to have to end the episode there, which is a bit of a cliffhanger, but hey, always make them wanting more, isn't that what they say? So I hope you've enjoyed this. It's a bit, I'd say, massive scale battle, so hopefully I'm doing it justice. We'll come back next time. We've got some excitement to kick us off, so I do hope you will join me then. So yeah, as ever, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Cheerio for now.